picked up some stuff today. And then you had this old Little Wonder 5-horse, which has a really old style carb that's under the gas tank. And I'm not sure exactly what year it is. I can't read it from here, but those old tanks like that are usually like around 1970 or something like that, with that style air cleaner and that kind of choke on it. So let me see if I can read it and I'll tell you what it is. All right, so the tag on the motor is 1973, so it's an old one. Somebody spray painted the motor at some point. You can see that the freaking spark plug even has spray paint on it. Looks like they put a new style muffler on it, but all the linkage and everything seems to be free. So I don't know, see what happens. We're working on this old Little Wonder. I know it's crazy that it's not a giant vac, but it's a cool old Briggs. It's a 5-horse. We're going to take the blower housing off and put an electronic ignition coil on it because it has no spark. So let's see what we got in there. I got the bolts off. We just got to pull this thing off here. It's pretty clean in there. I figured there'd be a mouse hotel. This tractor, or this engine's a 1973 Briggs. So we'll pull off this coil and we'll put on a new Stens one that I got. Yeah. It should be in good shape. So here's the old coil here. And I got a Stens replacement here. You see the part number, 440401. So hopefully this Stens one is pretty much exactly the same thing. I was trying to get the older style coil so that it had somewhere for this air vane to mount. See how they put these little like rivet nubs on the old one? The new ones don't have that for some reason. So it's really a flaw in my opinion that there's no way to mount this air vane properly with two fasteners. But we'll put it back together and we'll see what we got. All right, so here's the deal. When you got an old engine that has points, you got this wire that comes up and goes down to the points. We don't need that for anything. So I'm not going to take the flywheel off. I'm not going to screw with the points. I'm just going to reach down in there and clip it as deep inside as I can. And this other wire over here is actually the kill wire that grounds out the thing to turn it off. And that on the other side goes down to like the throttle control. So I'm going to snip that off. We're actually going to make a new kill wire here. And it's got to go from up here by the magneto down under the gas tank. And so let me just cut off an amount here that I know is longer than I need. And on our new mag, you see on there it says this side out. So that goes out towards you, the operator. On the back side, you'll see that there's this terminal here. It's not a 1/4 inch. It's whatever the size smaller than 1/4 inch is, but I happen to have one of those here. So we'll throw that in there and run that wire behind it down to the gas tank area. So let's see if we can put it in. So I just hooked that up to the terminal. And this wire, like I said, it's going to go down to the gas tank area, which is really a flaw in how this thing is routed. It would be nicer if it came out the other side, so it would be going towards the gas tank instead of away from the gas tank. Just trying to think of logistically how the best way to run this wire is. I think I'm just going to do it like this. It's going to kind of run behind here. Didn't really want it to touch the cooling fins, but I may kind of have no choice about that. The other option would be that I go down under these mounts for the coil. That might be better. I'll run it under there. Yeah, at least it's more like fastened to something more or less. So we'll snake this wire down and over to the bottom down here. If you come around to the other side, you'll see up there, right by the throttle control, there's actually a spot. It's like a little terminal up here. See this, the old wire is painted red, but that's where it goes. So we'll route it into there, and then we'll tighten up this coil and gap it with a business card and see where we're at. Before I tighten up that wire, we're gonna put the coil back on. So I got my fancy feeler gauge here called the business card, and got that under the magnet area here, and it's just a matter of getting it in the right spot so the bolts line up to the two holes here. I got to put the air vane back on too, so I'll do this off camera. We'll be right back. All right, so remember what I was saying about the air vane? The new replacement coils don't have the little nub up there for the air vane to actually hook into. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have to tighten this the best that I can, and hopefully it doesn't shift around too much. And if it does, it's only going to hit this coil here. It's not going to hurt anything. I guess over time it could blow through the side of the coil and short it out or something, but anyways, these 5HP Briggs are good old motors, and I've worked on a lot of these over the years, and these are the engines that I kind of started working on when I was a kid, learning how to work on stuff, and so should be good there. Now that will allow me to firm up this wire down here and get it to the right length, because I don't want to have a lot of slack in it. Some of the older engines have little clips down here that the wire is actually supposed to go behind, because you don't want it to like rub the back of the flywheel or anything like that, because then it could short out and you know, turn the engine off. But there's only 3 bolts to hold this blower housing on, so if it's screwed up, it's not the end of the world to come back in and make a new wire again. So we'll just try to have it tight and firm like that so that there's no slack. All right, run down there now, and you can see it a lot better, the blue wire. And I tried to route it back here as best as I could. It's fairly tight, so it's out of the way of the throttle linkage, and it's out of the way of the flywheel. So all we got to do now is put our blower housing back on with 3 screws, and we'll see if we got any spark. All right, so I got my spark tester here. I call this spark tester number 3 because I have 2 other ones that I can't find. So I went to Harbor Freight about a month ago and I bought number 3 right here. So anyways, see if I can plug this thing in, and let's see what happens if we give it a yank. Yeah, we got spark. Did you see that, guys? Come out here. Check it out again. Let's see here. Check it out. Yeah, got some spark. Yep. All right, I'm gonna take this air filter off here and just give it a squirt of carb cleaner. See if this bee will fire up. I don't even know if there's anything in the gas tank. That's pretty much empty. I'm gonna check the oil. Let's see if we got any oil in this turd. These old Briggs drink oil, man, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, she's pretty much empty. Oh, it's not empty, it's got oil in it, just not enough. I'm also on a hill, so that doesn't help out too much. So let me see here. I got a can of carb cleaner here. So let me give it a little spray here in this carb. Yeah, let's see. This has the old pull choke on there. Let's see what happens. Where's my throttle here? It wants to go, I think. Close that choke. This is really dumb how they got this starter rope here coming up right against this handle. Let me see here. Sometimes it's hard to understand what position your throttle's in and stuff like that. I don't think I gave it enough. Let's turn that choke off. See what happens now. even get it to run. Yeah, no point in wasting a can of carb cleaner on it. We're definitely going to have to get a rebuild kit for the diaphragm and call it a day, I think, you know. So time to order some parts.